We are recording.
I have 5:58. Madam Clerk, you're the official timekeeper for this soiree. What time do you have?
I've got a plethora of time. I've got
We all wish
57
we
on my
did.
personal watch. I've got 6 o'clock on my computer, and I have 5:56 on the system.
Cellcom says it's 5:59.
You have 5:59 on cell? I don't have my phone on me.
I got 5:59.
5:59?
All right. Well, like all good things, board-oriented
2022.
consensus says 5:59.
Oh, no, now it's 6.
All right. All right, I have 6 o'clock. All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Suamico Village Board meeting for Monday, January 3rd, 2022. Congratulations all for being here and making it to 2022. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Just as a reminder, if anyone wishes to speak, please speak directly into the microphone. There is a recording in progress. At this time, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
A motion on the floor by trustee Schneider to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by trustee Ward. Is there any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. At this time, we will rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 5, public hearings. A request by Pat Zeller, PDZ Investments LLC, for approval of a conditional use permit to allow for a shop with a spray booth for stain and varnish applications at 2500 East Deerfield Avenue. The property is located on the east side of East Deerfield Avenue, 3/4 of a mile south of Harbor Lights Road, parcel SU 1202, and zoned highway business. Mr. Dunks.
Thank you. We are looking at about a 1 3/4 acre parcel here. The intent is to operate their real estate and home building business out of the front part of the building, and then the spray booth would be located in the shop portion of this building. The purpose would be for staining and varnishing of the trim packages for the home construction business. Typically, the spray operation would require industrial zoning, but with the limited use of this operation and location of the property, we felt the conditional use was a better option than a full rezone to industrial. Again, the main use would be for the real estate and the home construction offices, which does fit the existing zoning. The booth would need to meet all state requirements for exhaust air, filtering, and such as determined by the materials being used. Flammables will need to be stored as required by the fire department. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation was for approval with 5 conditions. The booth will meet the requirements for exhaust air filtering and such as required by the materials being applied. All flammable storage will meet fire department requirements. The property owner and/or tenants will remain in good standing with any village fees, taxes, both real or personal, and utility requirements. The use of the spray booth is considered accessory to the main use of the building. Additional approvals may be required should the use of the spray booth become primary use for this building. And then meeting requirements of all other applicable ordinances, regulations, and reviewing agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, questions from the board for Mr. Dunks? Any?
Well, I have concerns because, well, staining and varnishing for one, and usually that wind is out of the west, and there's a lot of homes back there through the woods. I don't, is that really what we want there? And will that become more permanent? I don't
More
know.
permanent as far as,
More frequent? You said as.
right now it is considered accessory. It would be for their home trim packages.
And then
through their
what
own
would have, and then you said something here about if it were to become the main function of the building?
Then it would have to come back to the village board for additional approvals.
Okay,
So-
so how much staining and varnishing, how much and how often is that? Is that all the time, or?
I don't think it would be 40 hours a week preparing their trim packages for their homes, no.
And there's filtration?
Well, that was one of the conditions, that they have to have the booth meeting the requirements for exhaust air and filtering and such required by the materials being applied. Now, if they're spraying all non-flammable water-based materials, they don't need probably near as much for those booth requirements, but you also don't have near the filtering
The
requirements.
stain is water-based?
It's possible. There's water-based stains. I don't know that that's what they use. A lot of what they do today is painted trim packages, so, whether they're using a, solvent-based or water-based would
It
determine.
just, there's a lot of homes
There-
downwind of that.
There are quite a ways, you're not gonna see material drift. I mean, what, are you worried about the odors? Are you worried
Odor.
about?
Yeah.
Having done this for 40 years myself, I had an auto body shop that close to me. There wasn't a day you knew he's spraying down there. And he did that quite frequently. Now granted, I was to the north of him and not to the east, but there's a lot of woods in there
I mean, that's the way the wind blows typically.
I did this in college, specifically wood trim and whatnot, and unless you were standing outside of the actual facility, you can't smell it.
Are there other businesses along East Deerfield that currently have spray booths, if I recall?
There is one
Spray.
just to the north of the Woodfield Court condominiums. There is one in that business rental units there that does auto body.
Spraying.
Yes.
And how long has that been there, to the best of your recollection?
A couple of years, I think, probably 2
2,
years.
maybe 3 years?
Yeah. They don't do it every day. And I don't think this operation would be an everyday thing.
No, I would be shocked if they're doing it 20 hours a week.
How often would you be inspecting it, Chief Bertler?
So they would get inspected twice a year, unless there's violations. Unless there's a violation, they'd be back, but it's always twice a year, and they kind of keep an eye on it too. So to make sure that the filters, the spray booth itself is maintained. There are certain requirements for that to be inspected every year and change all the filters and all that kind of stuff, so.
Have there been any complaints about excessive odor from?
No, the only ever complaints that we get is if they don't have a spray booth, and usually it's from.
I'm talking like the residents.
Yeah, but as far as complaints, as far as the odor, never.
The applicant is here to give you better direction on how much they really do it.
Okay.
I mean, she's been involved in it long enough to know what kind of time frame you're looking at. I mean, 1 week it might be 40 hours, but then it might not see anything for 3 weeks after that. It all depends on how their trim packages lay out.
With the spray booths that they have today, I mean, they're all filtered. I mean, there's no issue with this stuff. It all has to meet the standards for fire department and the zoning code and all that kind of stuff. There's no issue with that stuff. I'm fine with this.
Are there more questions for Mr. Dunks, or otherwise we could take a motion to open up for public hearing and invite the applicant forward? If the board so desires.
I'll make a motion to open up the floor.
Motion on the floor from trustee Ward to open up public hearing, and a second from trustee Schneider. Is there further discussion from the board? Hearing none, then all those in favor of opening up for public discussion, public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. So at this time, anyone wishing to make public comments may come forward. If you would like to come forward as the applicant, perhaps you could answer some questions if the board desires. Thank you. Could you just share your name and address for the record,
My
please?
name is Alicia Zoller, and I'm representing Pat Zoller and PDZ Investments.
Thank you, Alicia. So maybe this is a chance to,
Like what I asked,
Sure.
the filtration, I mean, what,
So our booth does have a filter that goes across the entire spray area, and we do spray in front of the booth, so everything is sucked through that filter.
okay.
And I can attest, it used to be on a private property that I lived on, and you could walk outside and you can't smell it.
Okay.
And that
I guess that was
within
kind of my
100
next
feet.
question.
Yep,
And so it was right where you used to live?
correct.
Okay.
so what kind of things are you spraying? I mean, just for the record.
It's trim packs, so trim and doors for houses, residential homes.
Okay, so doors and moldings and things like that.
Yep.
Other questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to close public forum.
Did you have any other questions, trustee? You look like you were pondering.
Well, I mean, I am somewhat concerned because that's downwind of a lot of people, but there is some space there. And you said the current, there's been no complaints?
Yeah, and don't quote me on this, but I'm sure Beck's Quality Cabinets, just on Velp, probably has a spray booth similar to this, and that, staining, you can't smell anything off there, so I don't know, don't quote me on that for sure, but,
Well, they do,
yeah.
yes.
And I mean, I've never smelled anything from there, I guess, so. Or received any complaints to the east, and there's some homes that way, so southeast more or less, but,
No, the only complaints we ever got from Beck's was mainly their dust collection.
yeah.
So question on conditional use. So this being a conditional use permit for the spray booth, if there were complaints or there were issues, the conditional use could be rescinded, right?
You could, yes, you could examine that, yes.
So,
Well, we have a motion on the.
Yeah, it was out there already.
yep, the motion's out there. I just wanted to make sure there were no additional questions.
Well, did you open it up for everybody, or just?
Certainly, it's open for everyone.
Okay.
Yes, a public hearing open for everyone, if there's anyone else who wishes to speak. So there isn't anyone else wishing to speak, so then I guess the first thing we need to do is we need a motion to close public session. And that was your motion?
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. And we had a second from trustee Ward to close the public discussion. No other discussion from the board, so all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Public discussion section is closed. All right, so any other discussion from the board? Finally, I'm getting there.
I didn't have an issue with it when it first came up, and I don't have an issue with it now. I'm in favor of approving it.
Okay?
I have an issue, because stain and varnish, I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay. If there's no other discussion or questions?
So why would this be any different than the other cabinet shops in our area? They do the same thing.
Well, I don't want to single anybody out and say anything. I'm not going to do that.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, this stuff is out there. I also worked at a place that had a spray booth, and it's exactly like she had said. I mean, it's a booth, it's fans, it sucks, it's got filters all across it. I mean, it's totally fine. So I don't have an issue with it.
If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use to allow for a shop with a spray booth for staining and varnishing applications with the following conditions at 2500 East Deerfield Avenue. Conditions are both booth will meet the requirements for exhaust air filtering and such as required by the materials being applied. All flammable storage will be meet fire department requirements. Property owner and/or tenants will remain in good standing with any village fees, taxes, real or personal, and utility requirements. The use of the spray booth is considered accessory to the main use of the building. Additional approvals may be required should the use of the spray booth become the primary use of the building and meet the requirements of all other applicable ordinances, regulations, and reviewing agencies.
Thank you. Motion on the floor from trustee Schneider with the conditions 1 through 5 as mentioned. Do I have a second to trustee Schneider's motion?
Second.
I have a second to trustee Schneider's motion by trustee Andrews. Any further discussion or comments from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you. All right. Continuing on, item 5B, ordinance 2022-01, amending chapter 18.04, parent 17, regarding outdoor solid fuel furnaces as it relates to separation requirements. Would this be Chief Bertler?
No.
This would be Director? No.
Zoning administrator.
Zoning Administrator Dunks. I can't see your name tag, and I forget from week to week.
That's Steve.
That's so small. Okay,
Yes, I am.
Yeah, this falls under him.
A request was received to review our requirements for the outdoor solid fuel furnaces. Basically had to do with the separation requirements from property lines. With the equipment that's out there today, they handle the smokes and the nuisance smokes much better than the stuff from 20 years ago. So your Planning and Zoning Commission looked at this, and their recommendation was to change the setback from 200 feet to 100 feet, and also eliminate the minimum chimney stack of 20 feet above grade, but then add that installation and operation shall meet the requirements of the manufacturer's installation instructions. Most of these are EPA-approved units, which already address the amount of smoke and whatnot that they can have, so we're comfortable with the 100-foot separation.
Is that home heating and hot water?
It could be, yes. That's typically what you would use the outdoor furnace for, yes.
do they heat water, or do they heat propylene glycol to circulate for heat?
It might be treated water to
No.
prevent freezing, but yes, it's a wood boiler that is outside
Okay,
typically. And
Okay.
It brings it into the house, whether if you have hot water heat, it just mixes with the system. If you have forced air, it'll come in and go through basically a radiator, and a fan will blow the heat off of it or transfer it
sure.
into your furnace.
All right. Are there other questions for Administrator Dunks?
This seems reasonable.
If there are no further questions for Administrator Dunks, then I would open it up to public comment. I would look for a motion to open it up to public comment.
So moving.
Motion by trustee Schneider to open up for public comment, and a second by trustee Andrews,
Ward.
or trustee Ward, sorry.
Oh, I would give it to you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So at this time, this item is open up, subject outdoor solid fuel furnace regulations is open for public comment. Anybody wishing to come forward to provide their input on this item? Seeing no one, I would look for a motion to close public comment.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. A motion by trustee Ward to close public comment, a second by trustee Schneider. No further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Other questions from the board? Otherwise, I would look for a motion, please.
If there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-01, an ordinance amending 18.04, param 17 of the municipal zoning code.
Thank you. Motion by trustee Schneider to approve ordinance 2022-01, an ordinance amending 18.04, parent 17, parent of the municipal zoning code. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Andrews. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, consent agenda, previous minutes of the village board dated 12/20.
Sorry,
Does it have to be roll call?
public appearances.
Oh,
No,
I did miss public appearances. Thank you.
not for a public hearing.
Why I'm rushing this, I don't know. Public appearances, so anyone wishing to address the board on any items or issues not on the agenda, we won't necessarily be able to discuss those issues in depth, but we can take your feedback and refer that back to administration and bring it up at a future meeting. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward now and provide your name and address. All right. Moving on, no one is here for public appearances. We will now move to the consent agenda, long awaited, often never given the attention it should, except by a few. So, is there any consent agenda? We have previous minutes from Village Board 12/20/2021 and also November 2021 Animal Control Report. Is there any discussion or questions on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
Very good. We have a motion from trustee Eckert to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Andrews. He's got to get one once in a while.
Okay.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, item number 8, Public Works Utilities items. Bid out the recommended roads to reconstruct based off the current surface condition using the attached 5-year road reconstruction plan.
I will do my best Andy impression. So last fall, the Public Works and Utility Commission did a road tour and prioritized about 15 roadways to be included in the 2022 budget, totaling approximately $885,000. We did budget $860,000, knowing that $54,000 would be paid for by using the TID2 funds, and we have received $87,000 in the LRIP, which is the Local Road Improvement Program, for funding. Should the bids come back favorably, we do have flexibility built into the contract to potentially add 2023 roadways. So at this point, it's really just more of a formality. We're looking for a motion from the board to direct staff to bid the road work included in the 2022 capital road plan. Any questions or concerns?
You looking at me? No,
I'm looking at all of you.
I'm good.
If there are no questions or concerns from the board, I think it looks very good. We've seen this, at least pieces and parts of this in the past, and it is to budget, so I'm comfortable with it. I would look for a motion then.
I will make a motion to bid out the recommended roads to reconstruct based off of the current surface conditions using the 5-year road reconstruction plan.
Motion on the floor to bid out as recommended by trustee Ward. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Schneider. We'll need a roll call on this.
No, no.
It's a bid, no?
No, so this is just a general direction that we're getting from the board.
Okay.
We haven't received any bids yet. And once we get the bids back, we will bring that to the board, and then there will be a roll call vote.
All right, very good. That being said, any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent, motion carries 5-0. Item number 9, discussion on future agenda items. Anyone have any future agenda items? I know it's early in the year, and probably some time is required to percolate forward some new ideas.
I got nothing.
If there's nothing for future agenda items, then I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion by trustee Ward to adjourn this evening's meeting, and a second by trustee Schneider. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Is there any chance that the rest of this year is going to go this smoothly?
Not anymore.